Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into the intriguing idea that, everything wants you when you want nothing. It's this counterintuitive message that's both provocative and insightful.
Mm-hmm. That phrase really caught my attention. It's like when you're not desperately chasing after something, the universe somehow aligns with you, right?
Exactly. It's that shift from constant wanting to making that committed decision. You see, instead of just hoping or wishing, broadcasting a signal of lack as the message goes, you actually decide. And that decision, rather than a mere want, becomes a magnetic force.
Yes, indeed. So it's kind of like the difference between being stuck in a loop of desire and actually stepping into a space of certainty.
Right. And it's not just wishful thinking. The discussion really draws on science. Think neuroscience, quantum physics, even scripture, to explain that internal conviction isn't something you wait for. It is the consequence of the decision itself.
Mm-hmm. That juxtaposition is so interesting. I mean, why do you think most people get caught up in wanting instead of deciding?
Well, the idea is that wanting inherently carries hesitation. There's an underlying doubt, almost like a signal of emptiness. When you're just wanting, you're not fully committing, and that half-heartedness reflects back. It's like, trying to fill a bucket with a leak.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And by that logic, decisive action, no matter if the evidence is still scarce, essentially forces the universe to catch up with you.
Exactly. It's like you jump off a cliff and believe the ground will appear, rather than waiting until every bit of safety is in place. The claim is that once you decide, readiness follows. It's a creative act that sets in motion a series of events.
Uh huh. It reminds me of those quantum observations where um, the observer effect means your focus actually shapes reality. Kind of like when you decide you're essentially the observer and the catalyst at the same time.
That's a perfect connection. Think of it as the reticular activating system filtering reality, based on what we've deemed important. Instead of passively waiting, your decision reconfigures your neural architecture.
Yeah, that really connects with the whole neuroscience angle. But I've got a question here. What about those moments when people feel unready or scared to decide? Isn't that hesitation natural?
Oh, absolutely. The notion isn't that you should just ignore fear, but rather that you understand wanting is full of uncertainty. The speaker even gets vulnerable in his own story, like how, during a Brendan Burchard event, he broke down crying, convinced his business would fail. Yet, he decided anyway.
That's very relatable. And that decision propelled him to um, a level of success, which, as he mentions, might include over $50 million in revenue and a transformative podcast. It's interesting how a single moment of decision is credited with unlocking so much.
Exactly. It's almost like a catalyst that reconfigures everything. And it makes you think how many opportunities have been missed because we never truly committed.
Right, no doubt. I can see how that applies not just to business, but in every area of life: health, relationships, personal growth. When you're committed, you're seen in a whole new light, both by yourself and, metaphorically, by the universe.
Absolutely. And it's not about being desperate or forcing something. It's more about um, a quiet inner certainty that then attracts opportunities effortlessly. The idea is that when you decide on something, when you're clear and committed, everything else falls into place.
Exactly, clarity is key. But some might argue that waiting until you're completely ready is important too, right? That perhaps readiness should precede the decision?
True, but the counterpoint made here is compelling. Waiting for readiness can be a trap. Readiness often follows commitment. It's like you have to take the leap before you feel 100% prepared. Once you decide, then the confidence or readiness builds because you're actively engaged in shaping your reality.
I see what you're saying. It's a bit like when you learn to ride a bike. You don't wait until you're perfectly balanced before you start pedaling. You decide to ride, fall a few times, and then gradually develop the balance.
Exactly that analogy. It's not about perfection. It's about embracing the process of change even amidst uncertainty.
Yep, that's a really vivid image. And then there's the broader implication of attracting what you desire by transforming your inner frequency. When you decide, you're tuning your internal energy to that outcome.
Right. It's like the magnetic frequency idea. Everything wants you when you're no longer chasing. Instead, you're naturally drawn because you exude a calm determination. The content even goes into how this frequency can be measured and has parallels with universal laws.
Speaking of frequency, isn't that also a central theme in many personal development programs? Like how your vibrational energy shapes your reality.
Oh, definitely. And this whole concept isn't just about abstract science. It's been integrated into practical systems. There are entire programs and workshops that build on the idea of shifting your energy and rewiring your brain, like techniques to downregulate your nervous system and overcome limiting beliefs.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And it's really compelling how the speaker weaves in his personal journey. He's not just talking theory, but sharing concrete moments when he put these ideas into action, like his breakthrough moment, even when he felt emotionally overwhelmed.
Yes, that authenticity is key. It gives a real human face to these abstract ideas. It's one thing to talk about quantum physics and neuroscience, and another to acknowledge that you might have to cry, get scared, and then decide anyway.
Absolutely, it's relatable. And that vulnerability makes the advice more powerful. It challenges the listener to reflect on their own patterns, don't you think?
Definitely. It nuditates a shift from passive desire to an active commitment. And, some might say that this approach is overly simplistic given the hustle culture we live in, but I respectfully challenge that. It's not about ignoring the effort. It's about re-engineering your mindset so that the effort feels natural and aligned with your purpose.
I can see that version. I've heard people argue that persistent wanting is what drives action. How do we reconcile that with the idea of making a single, decisive commitment?
It's a good point, but the nuance lies in the quality of that action. Chronic wanting is like running on a treadmill. Lots of energy, but no real movement. In contrast, a decisive action acts more like pushing off from a stationary spot, launching you forward. It's about changing the underlying belief system so that every subsequent action is more aligned with what you truly
That
desire.
makes sense, very poignant. And this idea is further expanded in his programs, offering tools for rewire your brain, reconfigure your nervous system, and ultimately align with a higher purpose. It's more holistic, right?
Exactly. Integrated systems that combine psychology, neuroscience, and even elements of spirituality to deliver what he calls a powerful living experience. The goal is to help you reclaim control over your thoughts and emotions, leveraging that decision moment into day-to-day success.
Yeah, that's what really sets it apart. So, when you're listening to all this, it's essentially inviting us to challenge our own limiting beliefs. Instead of constantly negotiating with reality, we start commanding it by deciding on our desires with certainty, even when the obvious evidence isn't there yet.
Yes, and that's a profoundly empowering message. It's a call to action, a declaration that, regardless of external circumstances, you have the power to set your internal trajectory. by simply deciding.
Absolutely. It almost sounds like a secret formula that's been kept hidden from mainstream personal development, doesn't it?
It does. And that's what gives it that aura of mystery and allure. The idea that once you grasp this small but transformative shift, your entire approach to life, your business, your relationships, your personal growth can change dramatically because you harness the power of decision rather than the inertia of wanting.
Right? It's like flipping a switch in your brain. One thing I'd love to dive deeper into is how this concept transitions from theory to practice. What are some practical steps a person might take to begin this shift?
Great question. One practical step is to identify that one persistent want in your life, the one thing you've been chasing. Then, instead of adding more effort into wanting, you pivot to making a firm decision. Decide that you will have it. This might sound simple, but it involves reprogramming your internal dialogue and taking decisive action even in the face of uncertainty.
That makes it so actionable. And it sounds like there are even more structured frameworks available, like books, workshops, and programs that guide you through this process step by step.
Exactly. The speaker offers a range of resources from his book that outlines how to change your mind and rewire neural patterns to a comprehensive 12-week system that fuses all these concepts into a practical methodology. It's all about shifting from passive wanting to active deciding, so your reality starts to reflect that inner conviction.
Perfectly put. This conversation really lays out a powerful blueprint for self transformation, one that challenges conventional approaches and pushes for an internal revolution.
Yes, and it reminds us that sometimes everything truly does want us. Once we stop desperately chasing and start decisively embracing our own potential.
Absolutely well said. Thanks for sharing these insights. It's a fascinating, almost radical approach, yet so refreshingly empowering.
Thanks for the engaging discussion. I think it really resonates with anyone looking to break free from old patterns and claim the life they want by deciding first. Until next time, keep committing and embracing your inner power.
Right on.